Hello, friends. It's the Carnivore Rabbi here, as always, to meet, pray, and love. A few days ago, as I mentioned, the New York Times published a piece on the carnivore diet. The piece was not great. It implied that the diet was a fad. I have a video on it, and you can see it below. That there are much healthier ways to eat. Now, the article did have some good info. It quoted Dr. Baker, who in fact coined the term carnivore. But those of us who are following this way of eating quickly dismissed it. In fact, a lot of us dismiss a lot of what the New York Times writes, period. And I get it, it's mostly junk. But I have to admit that I'm a news junkie. I'm addicted. So I still continue to read a variety of news sources. And I do like to know what those I may disagree with on a variety of different issues, what they're saying. So today, I read a very intriguing opinion piece in that same New York Times. It was about our favorite new pharmaceutical drug, Ozembic. Yes, the pharmaceutical companies are paying lots and lots of money to put pressure on newspaper writers and television stations to pressure government and health insurance companies to cover Ozembic for diets. Every story about Ozembic, you can imagine that the drug companies have paid somebody for that story to be there because they want attention. They want everyone to be clamoring for Ozembic so that Medicare and Medicaid and then eventually drug companies will cover it. Because right now you can get Ozembic, but you've got to pay out of pocket. You can get it prescribed for certain things, but not for weight loss. But if you pay out of pocket, you can. But the drug companies want it to be covered by insurance. That way they can make a huge amount of money. That being said, this story about Ozembic, this opinion piece, was a bit different. And I liked it. Liked most of it. It perfectly explained the horrors of the standard American diet. It was very eloquent, and I think you'll find it as well. Let me share some of it with you. This is the writer writing. He writes, I was born in 1979, and by the time I was 21, obesity rates in the United States had more than doubled. I was born in 1978, so that's pretty close. They have skyrocketed since. The obvious question is why lies in one word, satiety. It's a concept that we don't use much in everyday life, but that we've all experienced at some point. Satiety describes a sensation of having had enough and not wanting any more. The primary reason we have gained weight at a pace unprecedented in human history is that our diets have radically changed in ways that have deeply undermined our ability to feel satiated. My father, this is the writer, grew up in a village in the Swiss mountains where he ate fresh, whole foods that had been prepared or that had been cooked from scratch and prepared on the day they were eaten. But in the 30 years between his childhood and mine in the suburbs of London, the nature of food transformed across the Western world. He was horrified to see, this is the writer's father, that almost everything I ate was reheated and heavily processed. The evidence is clear that the kind of food my father grew up eating quickly makes you feel full, but the kind of food I grew up eating, much of which is made in factories, often with artificial chemicals, left me feeling empty and as if I had a hole in my stomach. In a recent study of what American children eat, ultra-processed food was found to make up 67% of their daily diet. This kind of food makes you want to eat more and more. Satiety comes late, if at all. This writer nailed it. I love what he wrote. But now here's the problem. He doesn't offer a meaningful solution. He only talks later about not stigmatizing Ozembic. He doesn't propose that we do what all of us here know works. Low carb. Carnivore is the best, but if not carnivore, then keto or animal-based. We have so much proof. And unfortunately, the New York Times doesn't go there. It doesn't go to what we know works. And we know why. It's not where the money is. Thank goodness we carnivores know the problem and have found the solution.